Brand new video by Nohitjerome, 5 major issues with SOD Phase 2. Now, I'm not gonna lie, personally I'm not really having any issues with Phase 2, but all you have to do is go to the Classic WoW subreddit and you will find 517 and a half issues with Phase 2. So like, there are definitely issues out there that are being highlighted on especially Reddit, but let's see what the issues are and what people can do to fix those issues, huh? Shall we?
Hello, my fellow adventurers. I'm currently at Blizzard HQ getting the inside scoop on the big problems facing Season of Discovery right now. Before the security...
He sure loves his new green screen, so do I, man. Especially things like what's happening on the screen right now, dude. It's just like, those things add so much. In the previous video as well, the Nohitjerome elevator and him sitting on the elevator, then just going up, it's great. I love it, man.
Security team comes for me. I'd like to say that I really have had a great time with this mode. Making new alts, learning new skills like cath boosting, and of course doing Blood Moon. But things aren't perfect right now, and Blizzard actually has their eyes on quite a few problems. Actually, let me get to someplace safer. So we've got Kata on the horizon, and there's this really big risk right now. If the problems facing Season of Discovery go unsolved, players might leave the mode.
Video sound higher? It's already... oh, it's only on 95%, sure. I can't do any more than 95 though.
And then once players leave the mode, it'll be just way harder to bring them back. That's why we're going to be looking at the 5 major issues plaguing the Blizzard offices right now. Plus, we'll be discussing the solutions Blizzard is likely looking at. Alright, so the first problem becomes immediately apparent if we head into a Gren's office. There's a big storm of drama brewing with class balancing and certain classes having a really hard time finding raid spots. In fact, some classes like rogues are being left out of raids entirely.
Yeah, you know what, I spoke too soon earlier when I said that I didn't see any problems. I do. Now that I'm being reminded of them, sure. Rogue's bigger problem, like, if you're pugging as a rogue, like, if you have a rogue character, let me know in the comments down below how pugging is going for you. If you have a guild, I don't think you have that same problem, but like, pugging as a rogue, it is ridiculously not a good experience. It's ridiculously a toxic experience, it really is, man. If you're being a rogue, the rogue life right now is kind of tough. I also feel like the hunter life is kind of tough, especially playing a ranged hunter. But even melee hunters is also kind of tough. Just a bunch of classes have a tough time.
It's causing serious problems right now because players are getting full bis and not even being allowed in raids at all. Samson over here is having a terrible time and says rogues feel the worst they've ever felt. And meanwhile, shamans just got way overbuffed to the point where they're the most desirable class to bring to any raid. The big issue to me comes down to the 10-man raids, which I previously enjoyed quite a bit in BFD. Unlike in BFD though, the new 10-man raids are leaving a lot of people out in the cold. The first solution Blizzard will be looking at is to increase raid sizes in Phase 3. Making the raids bigger adds more potential slots for your rogues and your frost mages. And the devs will have the freedom to add in, say, a mechanic that only a rogue could do in the raid. In 10-mans right now, that's just not possible without completely breaking the game balancing.
I'm not gonna lie though, if you're playing a frost mage, you're not really expecting to get a raid spot anyway, are you? Because all you would have to do to get that raid spot is pay a 1 gold respec, go fire, and do it 2.5 times the DPS. Going frost in a raid right now is just like literally griefing. I don't want to be like sounding min-max there, but like going frost in the raid, it's griefing. It really is though. As a rogue, like, that's a different thing because that's your class. But as a frost mage, you can like, what are you doing? You're pressing 2 buttons anyway. Respec to fire, and pretend to be spamming the same 2 buttons. You're clicking 2 buttons, just swap between Frostbolt and Fireball. So instead of spamming Frostbolt, you spam Fireball. And just pretend like you see that Frostbolt going out instead of a Fireball, and you're good. And you do 2.5 times the DPS. But I do agree with the take here though, like this raid sizes being bigger in Phase 3 allows you to bring in more people without gimping the raid. So you will see a bunch more ranged hunters, first of all, because they can bring in the, what is it called again? True Shot Aura, right? Ranged hunters bring that, you will see a bunch more of that. You will see more ret paladins for the paladin buffs. You will see more holy paladins. You will see more of basically everything. More rogues as well. More of absolutely everything, just to make everyone better. You still have the min-max mindset of like bringing the right buffs and the right debuffs, but more classes fit into the whole category when you can have 20 people instead of 10.
The second solution Blizzard is looking at will be more class balancing. Maybe a tweak to shamans, after all, Spencer shouldn't be having all the fun. As for other classes, getting the perfect balance in 10 mans is nearly impossible. But classes like rogues are definitely being left out more than others because of a lack of utility. Adding in more utility via runes in Phase 3 seems like a really logical step to take. The second problem Blizzard is facing is that Gnomeregan really isn't puggable, at least compared to BFD. In Phase 1, we could easily clear BFD with pretty much any group, and there were minimal wipes. In Gnomeregan, though, the mechanics of the raid all but require you have prior experience or you risk wiping multiple times. That was completely fine when we were clearing the first week, but now groups have no more than 2 or 3 hours to commit to raids. The end result is that pugs have become pretty elitist in a lot of cases, not accepting players without high-end parses. Spogsy on Reddit lays out the problems in his post. He mentions the high personal responsibility of the raid being an issue, as well as players not wanting to risk losing their raid ID. My personal experience is that I run guild runs on my priest every lockout and I hit 6 out of 6. But recently I pugged on my hunter and had a few wipes on Thermoplug. We were on track to clear the raid within 3 hours, but people ended up having to leave. The end result was a disappointing 5 out of 6. It's an experience that leaves all 10 players wanting to diligently check logs and make sure we run a meta comp. I wouldn't say that's a good lesson for the health of the game. As for solutions, that's where things are getting pretty controversial. The biggest solution Agren lays out is just to join a guild. On paper, that does seem like a great solution, and it's the one I lean towards myself. At this stage of the game, though, most groups have already got their core group set up. Unless you're willing to re-roll to a Flavor of the Month class, you're just going to be out of luck. The other solution Agren lays out is to make your own groups with players and just enjoy the pug journey together. That sounds amazing, but it really doesn't address the problem that most WoW players have. Most people just don't have more than 3 hours to commit to a raid. A few wipes on Menagerie and Thermoplug and suddenly half your raid has to leave. The third problem is that the mode is designed for players to make a lot of ults, but
that's another reason why you should join a guild though, because the pugging experience is that any raid can suddenly take 3 hours, because you just have to have like 2 or 3 people not knowing mechanics, and then suddenly it turns into a shit show. But if you have a raid, like even for us, we're doing 3 sub 1 hour raids every single reset, with like varying amounts of like skilled people. Just like setting up the raid, making sure the group setup looks somewhat decent, and then we just go. And we have 3 sub 1 hour raids. If you have 3 hours that you can commit to the raid, good, go pug. If you only have 1.5, find a guild. If you have 2 hours, also find a guild. First of all, pugging, the raid will usually very likely take longer by itself, and you also have to like literally commit between 10 minutes and 1.5 hours to find the group to begin with. Or if you're making your own, that also takes time. So just, even if you just value your time, finding a guild just saves you so much time. Don't even have to find a guild, find 10 people. If you pug, and you like the people you pug with, ask them to add them to your friend list, and then pug with the same people. Next week. Use the actual social aspect. So many people are playing this game, and they're afraid of the social aspect. Make friends in the game, and raid with your friends. It's a good time, I promise.
But there are still too many barriers to making ults. Let's talk about a typical scenario where you hit level 40 in about 20 hours with the new XP bonus. Then you immediately start hunting for the big missing runes you need. That is a required step before you raid, since nobody wants a melee hunter missing a key rune like melee specialist. And so you head out and you do the 90-minute Dark Rider quest chain. Not a problem, except the next ult you make will also have to do the same quest chain, and your third ult. It never ends. And then the same problem comes up with the Grisby rune as well. For some reason, as fun as the runes have been to get in Season of Discovery, something about getting them on ults feels like more of a chore than it should. And there's another barrier to making ults, which is the PvP side of things. Blood Moon is definitely a blast, and it's my favorite part of Phase 2, but it doesn't feel great going in on a fresh ult just to get required pieces of gear for the raid. Burdening the rest of your group with a fresh character and slowing down their coin generation as you get farmed. And while we talk PvP, the Warsong rep on ults is feeling like a big barrier too. Some of my key pre-bis and true bis pieces like my bracers are locked behind Warsong Rep. I did get exalted on my priest and I had a really good time doing it, but getting exalted on several other alts feels like way too much of a grind. And as a sad result, I'll never have a true bis hunter in Phase 2, which really doesn't feel ideal. Ultimately, all of these alt issues are minor complaints. I'd say Blizzard has done a really good job making this mode extremely alt-friendly, but these are all issues.
You know, I wish they made it even more alt-friendly when it came to the endgame, because leveling is very alt-friendly. The endgame is very not alt-friendly. You still have to do the Blood Moon event, which isn't like bad at all, by the way. It takes 2 or 3 events, and then like usually takes 1 event, and then you have all the epics. So the event is not really a problem, but the Warzone Golter grind, which is also not really a problem because you have only 1 item from there, but it's a pretty good item. But what about the epic helm, for example? The tailoring crafted helm, or any other of the epic crafted items we have access to in Phase 2, that questline takes about between 2 and 4 hours. It's very RNG, it depends on if you have the flight paths, and then it's RNG on the drops as well. On, is it the last part or the second to last part, where you have to loot an item, then you have to like get a mysterious figurine to spawn? That one is very RNG. It took my friend 1 hour and 15 minutes to get the mysterious figurine to actually spawn, and then sell you the item. So that one can take you 5 minutes like it took me, or 1 hour and 15 minutes like it took my friend. Let's just say you have 10 alts, and this takes you 4 hours on average. That is 40 hours spent to get your epics. Now, an idea that I kind of aired yesterday here on this topic was to make it so that when you have done the questline once, you could buy bound on account recipes and send to your alts, where you still have to have 225 skill in the profession to learn the recipe. There's still a 25 gold sync, it's just you don't have to go through the entire questline on every single character. Now, I know the second you start talking about bound on account stuff in Classic WoW, people flip their shit. I know, it's a big no-go, but for me I think it would make just the whole season a lot more alt-friendly, even at the end game, and would just make more people enticed to play alt, because the more stuff we have to do on our mains, the better it feels to begin with. Like, I want to have a bunch of stuff to do on my main, but having to do the same thing on my alt for the second time, first of all, the discovery element is gone, it's boring, I've done it before, and I just want to have my second alt to raid, but not doing the semi-mandatory things like getting your crafted epics. You're gimping yourself because it just takes time, and it feels bad doing subpar DPS. I don't know, one solution could be to have bound on account recipes, where you actually, yeah, we already have bound on account stuff, actually, yes. We have like the Lidl type of heirlooms, like the necklace and the rings that we get from the Waylaid Supplies faction. We already have bound on account stuff. Why not make the recipes from the crafted items, the crafted epics? Why not make those account bound as well? That way you just have to go through the entire questline once, and then you can send the recipes to your alts. Once again, the gold sync is still there, 25 gold per recipe, and you still have to have 225 skill to learn the recipe as well. I don't know, just, yeah. Don't make it all SOD, just per server. Yeah, that as well.
Blizzard is actively thinking about, and the solutions are far from obvious. Over on Reddit, Elzuck has an idea. Account-wide reputations. What do you guys think about the idea of account-wide reps in Season of Discovery? Do you think it's too much like retail or a good idea?
I think it's a good idea.
About reps, this brings us to problem number 4, which is that it's impossible to balance PvP right now. The burst meta is still going strong, and it's making classes like warriors feel really weak. The problem is that if you balance around PvP, though, you end up affecting PvE. We can all remember back to Phase 1 when hunter pets kept getting nerfed and it kept negatively affecting their raid performance. There's unfortunately no easy solution to balance PvP. As Syntax says on YouTube, they can't buff classes without breaking PvE and PvP mechanics. It's just a limitation of vanilla. If you make warriors strong in PvP, that all but guarantees they'd be dominating the meters in Nohitjerome as well. Meanwhile, blanket changes like giving 30% more health to PvPers means classes like priests end up way too strong. One potential solution is to separate PvP and PvE abilities. Most of us already know that would be a bad idea though. Games like Guild Wars tried that already, and the separation caused a lot of confusion and made everything way too complicated. Now this is where I'll also add in, I haven't really PvP'd as much in this phase outside of Blood Moon. In the end, I guess I'm just not a huge fan of the burst meta. And since you can get a Wrathy rep from Blood Moon, there just hasn't been as much need for me to PvP this phase. I am curious how you guys feel about PvP in Phase 2. Let's talk about it in the comments. That brings us to the final problem Blizzard is facing right now, the longevity of the mode. There are real concerns about how many players will want to keep playing from 40 to 50 and then the endgame. As the levels get higher and higher, the amount of time required keeps going up. Except the mode is designed all around making several ults and rating on each of them. That's going to be a really tough sell at the 50 and 60 brackets. As fun as the mode is, much of the player base needed a permanent 100% XP boost just to be prodded to level 40. It's ultimately possible that classic leveling is just too much of a time commitment when leveling several characters. We've even seen a Gren straight up tweet that the classic leveling may not be compatible with an alt-focused mode at all. It is hard to say whether that means Season of Discovery is flawed itself. It also could mean that we just need a drastic leveling overhaul, maybe some form of Classic Plus. New zones for the mid-levels that get kinda tedious could be a really good start to Classic Plus. But I hold out hope that Blizzard will find solutions because I've been having a really great time with Season of Discovery. I've been doing things like mastering Cath boosts and working on new alts. What about you though? Do you think Season of Discovery has been a success so far, or is it a fundamentally flawed mode? Also, this video is going to be stirring up a lot of hot takes, so definitely share with your friends to see what they think.
I think Season of Discovery, I'm just going to stop it here, but I think so far it's been a massive success to me, and it's nothing we haven't seen before. It's for example, when Classic WoW came out, Classic WoW is different though, because it had the several waves of popularity. We had we had the time where everyone stayed home, which caused a second spike in popularity, but it's think about any new game. It's super popular when it comes out, kind of dies down over time, and for every single update the game gets, it kind of shifts back up to being popular again, then goes back down, and you see the whole thing repeat itself. TBC Classic came out, Phase 1 super popular, then as Phase 1 went on, people stopped playing or they took breaks, came back for Phase 2 was popular, goes down again. Wrath came out, Wrath Classic, Phase 1 super popular, midway through Phase 1, people start quitting or taking a break, come back for Phase 2, same thing happen. Season of Discovery, exact same. Super popular. Phase 1, some people take breaks, some people come back for Phase 2, right? Popular again. At the middle of Phase 2, people start thinking, oh no, it's dying, oh no, there's nothing to do. And then Phase 3 comes out, everyone is happy again, or most people are happy again, then halfway through Phase 3, it's gonna be the same thing over again. It's just the lifespan of games these days, they're really popular while they're popular, and then they just slowly fall off. I don't really think there's much more to say about that. There's definitely things they can do, and there's a lot of things they can do and should do here. I think we need to have, when Phase 3 or Phase 4 comes out, we need an even bigger buff to experience to bring in new people. If you want people to commit to leveling more alts in Phase 3, if they think that Season of Discovery is going to last a year and we're already 4 months in, they need to have a buff. They need to level up super fast. If you want people to focus on the end game, level alts and do raids, you need to help them get there fast. Personally, I don't know what to say about that because I do like the leveling experience, but just we know it's a seasonal server. People don't want to commit a month to leveling their character when they know it's probably, let's just say, 7 months left. And they commit so much time to just leveling. And then they can finally start playing the game. Like the South Park meme.
And then check out my AFK gold making guide to make tons of gold in time for Phase 3.
There we go. Okay, that was the video. I just wanted to see what you had to say the last 10 seconds as well. There we go, that's the video. What do you guys think? What do you guys think? What's the problems in SOD and what can we do to fix them? I feel I don't know. I think I've already said everything that I think here. It's just a natural life cycle of brand new games, and especially World of Warcraft. But any game you can think about lives through the same thing. If anything, many games even die way faster than SOD has so far. If you just look at the raiding meters, for example, there's so many people playing this game. Actually, let's do that right now. Let's go to ironforge.pro and we can check out like how many people are actively playing, or at least actively raiding, right? So ironforge.pro. If we go to ironforge.pro, we can then go to demographics, and we can take a look at classic SOD. Is there any way to like compare this to a previous week? I don't think we can, but we do have some numbers, so we can take a look at, like, if I just pop this back up again. Here is ironforge.pro. I'm just going to turn this up here. There's 311,000 people that are raiding. Now, of course, people are raiding on their alts, but we can compare this to Wrath, where also people are raiding on their alts. There is basically almost twice as many people raiding right now in Season of Discovery as there is in Wrath of the Lich King. Comparing this to Classic Era, we have 16,500. So we have 20, or basically 20 times as many people in Season of Discovery. And sure, you can say once again, there's a lot of alts in SOD, but Wrath has been out for over a year now. Way over a year, like 1.5 years. How many alts do you think people have there? I personally have 20 level 80s. I have way more alts in Wrath than I have in SOD. So for me, when I was raiding in Wrath, I was raiding on 10 characters. I am not doing that in SOD right now. So on Wrath, I mean 176,000. Season of Discovery, 311,000. Log the raids, by the way, from March 6th to March 12th. Living Flame on top still. Dude, Lone Wolf is catching up fast though. Living Flame 46,000, Lone Wolf 45.8. Last time I was on this website, like, Living Flame was way above Lone Wolf. Lone Wolf is catching up and is like right up there. There's only a 250 number difference. Wow. Yeah, that's actually insane. But going back to Jerome's video, really good video. Really good video.